What up, y'all? I'm back with a different video, and I want to talk about something that I was thinking about last night, and that's why I hate school. I have always had this deep dread for school. It's not even just hate, it's just this dread that I'm counting down the days till it's the weekend. And I was thinking about why that's the reason last night. And I came to the conclusion that it's because of everything that I've been through in my childhood. And I was thinking about this last night. I grew up, well, I didn't grow up. I came here when I was 7, but I was born in Sudan. There was a war in Sudan. So we fled to Chad and we were there. And as we were there, I was taught to fear learning. And I didn't realize that at the time, but it stuck with me throughout my whole entire life. So in Chad, we would have the normal school curriculum in the morning, and then at night you would have something called Dusky, which is like Bible study but for Islam. And in the morning we would go to the normal school curriculum, and if you're late for school in the morning for whatever reason, you get hit to enter the class or the school. You get hit. For girls, I think it's different for boys and girls. The boys obviously get a harsher punishment, but okay, yeah. For girls, you would get hit on your hand, and for guys, you would get hit on your body part, like whatever. But and then once you do enter the school, I remember I was really young, so we didn't even have pens or papers or tables. We're literally just sitting on the hot ground, a hot sand, and we would use the sand as almost like the canvas for us to write. So we would use our fingers to draw out the symbols and letters and so whatever. And if you get something wrong, the teacher would hit you. If you ever misbehaved, if you were talking, you would get hit. And yeah, that happened so much to the point where I started skipping school, and I just barely showed up to school. Even at a young age, below 7, I just was skipping school. In the morning, my mom would make us breakfast, and after breakfast, I would just act like I'm going to school, but I would drift off and go somewhere else. And I did that all the time. And so obviously that caused me to fall behind in school. And then in Dusky, which is the Bible study, but Islam version, we would sit around a fire and we would have these wooden tablets, and we would have ink to write on them with. And you would have to write scripture and recite it. And if you wrote it wrong or if you recited it wrong, you would get hit. And if you were late to class, you would get hit. Sometimes I've seen people where they misbehaved or they were late or they're whatever it is. 2 students would pick you up by your arms. So one takes one your arm, the other takes another. 2 other students would pick up your legs. One takes one leg, one takes the other. They lift you up, and then the teacher would take a stick and whip you. And the rest of the class can hear you scream, and yeah, and thinking about this and talking about this now, I can see how messed up it is, but at the time it was so normalized that it's just like you just don't even think about how traumatizing and messed up that is. But anyways, after all that, I come to the United States at the age of 7. And when I come to the United States, I'm learning an entirely new language and entire new culture. And I found myself sitting at the back of the class, barely raising my hand, scared to get anything wrong, scared to just learn. And I had that anxiety from the young age of seeing people get beat, seeing myself get hit, to the point where like it was no longer about learning. It was more so about avoiding getting hit, getting having to be like disciplined. So I would avoid getting hit at any cost, and it just that caused me to miss out on so much learning. I avoided schoolwork whenever I could. I never raised my hand. Even when I knew the answer to a question, I would not raise my hand because I would think, yeah, I know the answer now, but if I raise my hand, the teacher might start calling on me more often. And what if I don't know the answer then? You know what I mean? And thinking about it now, it's like if you don't know the answer, it's fine, but because you're in school to learn. But being conditioned to not get something wrong or being hit often, that creates a mental trap where you're not welcome to make mistakes and learn from them. So yeah, I had a lifelong battle with school, and I never realized what it was. I just thought I was bad at school, and I'm bad at learning, and bad at following directions and so on. But really, it's just the trauma from such a young age followed me all across my educational journey. And I think what made me realize this the most is now that I'm out of school and I don't have to go, I find myself reading more. I find myself going out of my way to learn things, and that's what made me really think about why am I going out of my way to do things and becoming a lifelong learner when I was told to learn, I wasn't learning, and I realized that now I have the freedom to learn without fear. No one standing over me and telling me like, you gotta get this right, or you gotta learn a certain way, or if you get this wrong, you're being humiliated, or you're being hit, or you're being disciplined. And I can also just move on my own time and move on my own interest. I don't have to take things that I'm not interested in. I don't have to learn about things that I'm not interested in. And yeah, that just made me realize how traumatic my younger years were and how they impacted my learning journey. And I wonder now if what would have happened if I was introduced to learning in a healthier way, if I was my curiosity and just my everything was just nourished a bit better, and I was not told or shown to fear learning, you know. And it's so crazy because throughout all this, I've created this image of myself that I am not good in certain subjects, or that I am just bad at school, or that I hate learning, or that school wasn't for me. But really, it's just the fear that was instilled in me, fueling these like negative opinions about myself. So that's been interesting, but I'm glad, even though I can sit here and say, oh, what if I was taught a bit differently? What if I had different experiences? I have to be more grateful for the fact that I can realize this now and make the change, and learn things that I always wanted to learn, and know that there's no boundary or there's no ceiling to what I can achieve. It's just more so what I've been conditioned to believe about learning and my own um, capabilities. But yeah, if I've been realizing more things. I've been realizing a lot more things like this about myself, and I um, I challenge you to take the time to look within yourself and look at the patterns within your life that maybe you don't normally question, and see why these things persist within your life, because there's always a deeper meaning to, or a reason to, why you do the things that you do, or your things, or the way you think. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Um, take the time to reflect and get closer to yourself.